Everybody wants to become a new person, and they tell people all of their goals. Do they really do it? In order to be a new person, you have to think different and act different. Hello, everybody. My name is Sebastian. I talk about personal growth and self development. And today I'll be talking about thinking different and acting different. So I've met a ton of people who are very ambitious and they talk about their goals a lot and they have big plans for the future. But most of the time the people that I know, they don't really do anything that aligns with their goals. And I know that some people are stuck with the mindset of, yes, I'll be that. And all they do is just manifest, right? People always talk about manifesting this or, some kind of energy stuff, but that really isn't going to take you anywhere. And it's not going to get you to where you want to be at. If you really want to be at the place that you want to be in, you have to take action regardless. You can't just say that you'll wake up in the morning and, stare at the mirror and say that, oh, you are this, I'm going to be this, right? That really isn't going to do anything for you if you don't do the action that will actually take you to that place. And the thing is, nobody wants to do the hard work that people talk about. They say, oh no, I'll take this shortcut. And the thing is, there's a lot of shortcuts out there, but I'm here to tell you that none of the shortcuts are going to take you to where you expect to be. The things that you see online isn't really accurate to what's going on, because people only post the good stuff. Who's going to post bad stuff? Are they going to post a bad day? Let's say if they lose money, are they going to post that? No, they're not, because they want people to think that they're winning. The point is that not everything that you see online is actually accurate. Sometimes people really don't post the hard stuff that they go through, and a lot of this stuff is private too. So when you're on your way to success or whatever success means to you, there's not going to be a single, like every single day is going to be perfect. There's always going to be obstacles. Thing is, in order to become a new person, your day-to-day basis has to be new. You can't expect to be different when your current lifestyle doesn't reflect your goals. I see a lot of people that they have big goals, but their day-to-day basis doesn't reflect that. And it just makes me think, because if you have such big goals, why aren't you working towards them? So let's look at an example. For someone who wants to be more healthy and fit, let's say if they're not sleeping right, they're not eating right, and overall they're just lazy and they don't go to the gym. What they're doing and how they're thinking currently doesn't reflect that they want to be healthy and fit. So being a different person requires you to think different. When you're stuck thinking how you used to, you're going to be in that position that you were in already. If someone genuinely wants to become a better version of themselves, they have to throw that old mentality away. They can't be a new person and still have that same mentality. It requires so much effort, and that's exactly the reason that some people don't do it. Not to mention when things just get harder than it has to be, they give up so easily because they don't know how to use delayed gratification. And for the people who don't know what delayed gratification is, it's basically, I'll give you an example. Let's say if I had a gummy worm and I can choose to eat it right now, but if I wait another hour, I'll get two gummy worms. I can choose to get that instant reward, or I can wait another hour to get double the reward. You can choose to eat fast food right now, but if you know that you'll feel much better waiting at the end of the week, it'll feel more rewarding waiting until the end of the week instead of getting that instant dopamine. And I think that's the problem with, in today's world, because a lot of us don't know what delayed gratification is. A lot of us are just looking for instant dopamine. We look for shortcuts and we look for the easiest way out. And I think that some of us just forgot how to use our brain. As mean as it sounds, but it's kind of true, because people just try to use the shortcuts, and when that shortcut gets too hard, they give up on that. So just make sure to let the new you in and sharpen your mindset. And you have to do this very slowly, okay? You can't just wake up at, let's say, 3 a.m. and you know how you get that burst of motivation about changing your whole life or something. It doesn't really work like that, because let's say if you just changed everything that you did on a day-to-day basis today, and like let's say like literally everything is just changed, you're gonna stick with it for probably a day, right? Because tomorrow morning, that's a whole nother person, not the same from yesterday. And that's why it's so hard to just stay consistent and to just think different, because each day has its own obstacles. Each day is a different day, and you can't expect the same from yesterday or last week. So the main point is to just accept that obstacles will come and challenges will come, but you have to be ready to face them. For example, right now, I just finished my previous video because I figured out that it had some sort of technical issue with like the mic and stuff, and it made it echo, which upset me so bad. And I didn't figure out until today. And that's what I'm saying. Like there's different obstacles that you won't expect for them to come up. And even though it upset me so bad, I said it's okay, fine. I'll record it again. I'll record that last piece again. And I faced the obstacle head on instead of, just doing nothing and letting it be and not posting it. And I finished the video and now I'm moving on to the next. So that's how you should approach each situation where you face obstacles. Make sure to just put all your focus into that obstacle, learn how to, let's say, get over it, avoid it, and then move on to the next. When you learn to face your challenges with efficiency and clarity, each time that the obstacles present to you, it will get much easier because you're already used to it. So when you learn to face your challenges with efficiency and clarity, it can be way easier and less difficult than it has to be. The old mindset me, would have just stopped completely. I would have not posted the video. I would have gave up completely and I would have went to sleep because I would not want to know anything about it because it would upset me so bad. And that's the mindset that I used to have. When everything just would mess up, I just gave up because it's so easy to just say no, right? Saying yes every day requires patience and requires effort, but it can all stop with just one no. And the old mindset that I had, every time that something would go wrong and it would just completely fail, I would want to give up. And it's sometimes I still have that issue where, something goes wrong and I want to give up, but I don't because I remember that when I used to have that mindset, I would just feel more angry and upset than I already was. And that's the hard part about consistency because nobody really teaches you how to control your emotions and the amount of patience that is required. Whenever things didn't go my way, I would just give up and go back to my comfort zone. But then I realized that the actual growth, when it actually happens, is when you're in that hard stage because it's easy to go to the gym, right? It's easy to go to the gym every day, but what about when you're tired, right? What if you had a long day and maybe let's say you work 10 hours? What really matters is if you show up after those 10 hours. When you stay in that uncomfortable zone that, you're not really used to, that's where growth actually begins to happen and that's where it matters the most. And the beautiful thing about enduring the hard parts is that you can now prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you think. Whenever another challenge is just as hard or maybe even harder, it gives you a little bit of motivation because you basically prove to yourself that you were able to endure the hard part, and that means that you can basically endure anything that comes towards you, right? Because you get that kind of mentality like, yes, I've been able to endure this, so this should be no problem. So that goes to show that when you have a different mentality and you think different, you will have a different outcome. Therefore, you will be that new person that you're looking for. And that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something useful, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.